Kind of helps to have the microphone. How, how is everyone doing today? Good morning, good afternoon. For Johnny, good noon, and good evening. How is everyone's Sunday rolling? What we got rolling so far? We got Damien claiming first for Rizzle this time. There's no foist or any other tomfoolery with the word. Bertles here. I did make it public, but thanks for the reminder. Artist Circle, we got Michael King. Good morning. Sorry, good afternoon, folks. It's on! RTQ's here too. Awesome. Yep, song list is in the description. Let's kick it. Let's get going on this. I think we have 11 tracks today. I can't recall. I do know that we were running quite a bit high for next week. We had one more late suggestion come in, and it pushed us to like 12, I think. So I think we're doing 11 today to even things out. I don't remember. I guess we'll figure it out when we get there. We're going to kick this off, though, with something pretty interesting. I don't know what the song is. No matter what I did to look it up, I couldn't find it. The band, though, is Matmos, and they are working with the Barbican Center. And they're doing something with plastic trash and sampling, which is pretty cool. But the rambling, I have nothing to ramble about this morning. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we'll get there. There will be some topic that pops up, and I'm just. But right now, I don't know. I got nothing. Let's see. Who brought this one to us? This one comes from RTQ. Surely you love music, but do you love sound? I bet not as much as the dudes from Matmos. So, let's dive into this. I still don't have a song title, but at least we know the band. Let's see what they're bringing to the table. I suppose that's fair. Just don't go looking in the basement for any pods.
Okay, so here's what I get out of it. The song it's okay. I don't think there's anything I find really interesting in the music itself, but it's about the process that really intrigues me, and I'm curious, how much prep is there in this? Particularly because what I find most impressive is not just the idea of taking these two little cups and making a plethora of sounds out of it, enough to fill beats and melodies and harmonies and different timbres, seemingly. But what I do find quite interesting is the speed of creation. How rapid they went from taking samples, I would assume, to creating music. All without a keyboard from what it looked like. Which means that it would have been done with the sequencer. Which maybe, I mean, I guess maybe that would speed things, that would slow things down for me, but maybe if that's what they're used to, though. Look like mostly processing. Any sound source can be modified to do things. Yeah. But like, how much of that was pre-configured? Like, do they have a stack that they use to create percussive sounds, and then you just take something that feels percussive that you just captured, and then put that, put it in that line with that stack in it, and now you have your bass kick kind of thing? Or was everything done here on the fly? Did they start out with a completely clean state? Just because, I mean, it just blows my mind how quickly we moved there. I think we only took samples for 15 seconds before creating a beat and a rhythm and the beginnings of a foundation. The song was already starting to be built just a few seconds in, and it's kind of bonkers also how quickly we went into complexity. We started with just a single line, and it was only a minute and a half before we had 4 or 5 part ideas. That dude on the computer was working fast. And I think that's what is the most interesting element of this to me, is just how rapid we moved from playing with noises to making a song, regardless of whether that song was enjoyable, which again, it was okay. I don't have anything against it, but it's not something I think I would turn on again. But the display of skill in creation, that's going to stick with me. Oh man, when I saw your message earlier about the stream starting, I figured you were here. I was blown away by the creation process. Just to give a little recap, the song was okay. I don't know that I turn it back on, but
But yeah, just how they went from nothing to a song in 3 minutes was just bonkers. Oh yeah, YouTube does that, doesn't it? Yeah, just go ahead and rewind a little bit. Gonna find a way to blame the ramblings on the shortcomings of the stream, huh? RTS would have been here if Brian just talked some more. Yeah, I'm curious to listen to more of their stuff, and kind of see what they do when they're not pressed for time and not creating something on the fly while also capturing samples from something like this. But I think they did a fantastic job at finding something melodic and something percussive and something atmospheric all within these two cups. And you know, that's another part of the creation process too, is finding your samples. I see this once again as a really good exercise. It has really strong academic purposes. If you're a composer, specifically somebody who works within sampled music and creating electronic stuff, this is definitely something to try. It is a feat of skill for me, but it's not necessarily something that I would find listenable. The musical side is a bit soft, but the the exercise itself is phenomenal. I bet they could do something really cool with the Red Solo Cup. And I kind of hope that they give a little nod to the Keith Urban track. Was that who sang it? I think that'd be interesting. All right, RTQ, see you in a bit, hopefully. Next up, we have Whale Bones. I don't know why this band name tickles my fancy. This one comes from Wormy, but there's no context, so I don't know what's going on here. Persona non grata, Whale Bones. What? And the thing is too, like, Whale Bones kind of gives me like doom metal vibes, but this does not give me doom metal vibes. So I think that's also kind of being a bit comical for me. The theme, the list does not have a theme. While I do typically give the streams names, the theme is something we explore organically throughout and see if there's anything connective to everything. It's all randomly chosen though. Would be fun to do as a music producer stream. Let's make something with this piece of trash. Yeah, 100%. There is a spectacle to it. Even if the end result isn't always interesting, the process was, and I think that's what really drew me in on that one. The process had interest to me. These guys made an entire album out of a washing machine. Yeah, see, that's the kind of thing that excites me. I don't know if the end result would be any good, but I kind of have to listen to that now. That is very true. There is no theme, and technically it's all entropy, but our brains are really good at finding patterns, and we will find one. In fact, I already know one. If you've seen the song title list and the band list, there's a lot of stuff I'm not going to be able to pronounce today. So we're going to run into a lot of issues on that front. All right, Whale Bones, Persona non grata. Let's see what's going on here. Just beautiful to start with. There's no benefit, no addition for your gain, so I'm inadequate. I love the melody line too. Oh, the wavering. It's got a rock vibe to it though. There's something about the melody line on the vocals that remind me of rock ballads. Yeah, there's definitely brass in here. I think it's really interesting that a lot of this sounds like general atmospheric soundtrack music for film, but the acoustic guitar line with the vocal melody on top elevates it outside of that realm. Huh. All right, see, so I dig this. I do. I think there's so many good moments in here. But, well, let's start with the positive. The swells are gorgeous. The layering is beautiful. I love the instruments chosen for this. We have a full symphony. Sorry, full orchestra, I think. We have trumpet. They only show up once. We have tuba. They show up a couple times. We do have strings. There are flutes and clarinets throughout here. We do have the acoustic guitar. We have a timpani. We had that one timpani roll. So maybe not a full orchestra, but very close. We have a representative from every family at least. And it all comes together in something that is just gorgeous. Every time we move from one idea to the next, it just naturally, fluidly moves into the next idea. And those swells, man, every single one was just fantastic. So many good moments. The melody in here is interesting in that it fits what's going on, but also has, like I mentioned, like a rock ballad thing going on too, specifically with its interval choices. It feels closer to pop than it does to classical or soundtrack music. And the acoustic guitar keeps everything rooted, no matter how bombastic and larger than life the symphony, the orchestra wants to take. I don't know, I keep saying that. The orchestra wants to take it, though. The guitar keeps everything held down. And I love that. It never allows the song to get too large or to lose itself. I just wish it went somewhere. Does anybody else get that? I mean, maybe it's not supposed to. I listen to the lyrics and it's about not finding resolution, but there's so many moments in here that feel like they're meant to do something. We have so many build-ups that just peter out into nothing, and even the ending is just an exceptionally abrupt stop. It ends up feeling like a track that is always pointing towards someone but never gets there, and it definitely feels very much about being on the journey and never really getting to any destination. And for some tracks, I think that might be fine, but for this one, I feel like it just didn't quite land for me. Oh, see, that's a thing right there too. The ending could have been pointing towards the next idea on the next track. I still don't think it excuses some of those moments in the middle when we had these massive swells into these huge notes. Usually the brass comes in and really supports everything. We get these big tuba parts, and then it just nothing. It doesn't go anywhere. The next beat is sometimes just back to the vocals and guitar. A lot of moments feel anticlimactic, I suppose is what I'm saying, and it was a bit disappointing to me, but not having that climax again might be the purpose of it. Vocals are similar to David Longdon. Somebody else mentioned Big Big Train as well. Beautiful, but left me frustrated. Yep, that's it right there. I gotta start using language like that. It's a bit more passive. I feel like when I get frustrated, it turns into negative criticism. I really like to fully enjoy music. Frustration's not something I like, so I tend to turn that into a bit more of a negative aspect. But using the word frustrated, I think, is a nice neutral term. I should incorporate that more often. Beautifully said. Alright, I gotta pull this down though. I gotta see. If this is a one-off, I'm gonna be a little upset. But if this is what they do, this chamber pop kind of stuff. Brian, welcome. Glad to have you. Oh yeah, Pear. I meant to say welcome back when you joined in. Glad you're here as well. Alright, next up, we got some Kaatayra. And well, there's only 2 consonants in here, and I think there's like 9 or 10 letters, so I'm not going to be able to pronounce this one. This one comes at us from Christopher. There's no context on it. Brian, I hate to throw you under the bus, dude, but everyone knows it's supposed to be spelled with a Y. It's Finnish. Although I suppose that's not too much of a jab at you. Most people don't get to choose their names, so I guess that one's thrown at your parents. I got lucky, though. Yeah, see. Jokes aside, though. Yeah, Kaatayra. I don't know how to pronounce that one. We're just going to dive in, though. We've checked them out before, and I've tended to enjoy them. I see this one is 4 seconds over. We're going to have to take 4 seconds off Christopher's next month. Named after my uncle. That's pretty cool. I don't know what I'm named after. I was supposed to be called Raceland, named after the wizard from Dragonlance. And that changed last minute. Literally last minute. My mom told me that she was in labor. I think it was actually I might have just been born, and they got the form. What are you gonna name your kid? And my dad was still set on race. Oh no, my mom was still set on Raceland, and my dad's like, you know what? We're not gonna do that to him. Let's give him a normal name. I think it was my dad who had to change a heart last minute. I don't know. I think that would have been cool. The plan was, if I had a sister, which I did, she would have been Kitiara, but she ended up not being that either. So, yeah, that would have been real fun. introducing critical reactions with your host Raceland. I don't know, it doesn't have the same ring, does it? Alright, Kaatayra. Let's dig into this one. We were that close to greatness. I don't know, it's still, it kind of has a, I think it's just because I'm so used to Brian, maybe. Maybe it sounds great to other people. Alright, let's dig into this. Oh, getting right in. It feels like we even cut off half a beat. Might have tied into the last track. If you mix Finnish with Polish, you'll get a language of the normal distribution of vowels and consonants. Alright, that makes sense. Because my other guess would have just been that YouTube messed it up, which, I mean, it's YouTube. I want to put it past them. I really like that percussion. It's boomy, it's larger than everything else, it has a ton of impact. I couldn't remember if this is one of those non-electric black metal groups or not. What instrument was that? It's an interesting idea right there. Yeah, like a fog. I don't know that I get it all the time, and I mostly get it with the vocals, but there's certainly a production going on here. It certainly moves into the more meditative area of composition. So a song transitioned into it, and it transitions into the next. I wonder if that's a pattern. Yeah, it's really interesting because our first section is very directed folk style music. We have very low key, primarily monotone vocal idea that sort of sits in the background. We have the drumming. There's like 3 or 4 drum ideas all presented simultaneously, and we have a few harmonic ideas in the instruments, primarily just keeping the chord progression flowing, keeping the whole song moving forward. We get the little ornamental bits in this area as well, and it feels like it moves towards something. It's more traditionally composed. And then we get the black metal section, which takes the same concept and applies it to 16th notes everywhere. But then everything after this is like pure atmosphere. We just kind of loop the same things over and over and over and see where it takes us, slowly molding it. And really, there isn't anything on the top, any lead melody to it. It's an interesting evolution where we start with one sound, transition it sonically, return to that sonic identity, but switch the composition style. And so it feels like a full circle, even though it is fairly linear in composition. Yeah, they're one of those bands that continue to interest me, but I'm not sure I would ever want to listen to an album of. I definitely agree. It's one of the more interesting black metal ideas out there. Really digging in within the atmospheric components of black metal and occasionally leaning into the aggressive wall of sound, but still kind of doing its own thing. Yeah, and see, I can imagine that too. With all the songs hypothetically moving into one another, it's it's probably something you'd want to listen to all at one time, and this could not be a really strong standalone track, and maybe it works better in uh Maybe it works better as an intermediate piece or an ending piece or a starting piece of a larger idea. Pace the flow as a whole. I like that phrasing. I think it does a decent job at showcasing what Kaatayra is, though. If you like this, there's a good chance you'll enjoy the whole. But, you know, I think this is the second, maybe third track I've heard off of this album. The art is very familiar. I don't know that isolated listens are really the way to go about this one. Actually, you know what? This might not be the third song because this is a repeat. We have had this track on the channel before. I think it was a live stream a year, 2 years ago, and I contacted the requester if they wanted to change it. I never heard back. So we did check it out again. But the interesting thing is I don't remember much of this. I remember the general idea, the folk black metal, but iPad typing, dude. So like, oh, and it's a tablet, right? So yeah, I hate tablet typing because the keyboards are too big. But I was gonna recommend an app that might not even be on Apple. We're gonna take a small tangent here. I think we're doing okay on time, anyways. This is like a really weird keyboard that I absolutely love, and it's one of those love it or hate it things, and I'm checking to see if it's even on Apple. It's called Minuum, Minuum. It is on iPhone. I think I had to pay for it. I don't think it's a free keyboard either. And it's taken forever to connect to Apple. I think it was about $4. Anyways, the whole thing is though is that it's scrunched down. Let me see if I can boop and boop. There we go. All right, so can I get a zoom? No, that's not what I needed. Zoom. Well, it's not a really good picture of it. The idea though is that the whole keyboard is just one strip, and you fat finger everything. You just kind of tap where it is, and it has really good predictive text, and it knows what you're typing based on that. And it is just I've never mistyped with it. It's so good. But you really got to get out of that idea of hunting for the right letter. But on the flip side, everyone I've shown it to hates it. So I'm not going to particularly say it is a great keyboard for everyone. It just happens to fit my mind really well. But also, I don't know about using it on a big tablet either. So, oh, I bet it would work for like small screens, like smartwatches. All right, back to the music. Had a little tangent there. This one's Cataclysm. Comes at us from Vermilion Gates, no context. I remember this was a late change. I don't remember what their original choice was, but this is what we have now. The track, The World is a Dying Insect. Let's dive into it. Our second band that starts with a K in a row. Doesn't seem like an iPad. Oh, I forget about that. Seems like a cool idea. Yeah, I agree. Tablet keyboards are too big. I always forget about that because, like on Android, I'm pretty sure if it's available on phones, it's available on tablets. TV, I think, is where the first differentiation is. But yeah, that's interesting that Apple separates. I think it's because they have a larger discrepancy between phone size and tablet. Anyways, we got to get on the music. Cataclysm is one of those death metal bands that sounds pretty good but never stuck. Well, let's dive in, see what I think of them. At least I know they're death metal now. Oh, maybe they pulled. I don't think it's had support. I think the Android version hasn't had an update in a couple years, but at least it's still available on Android. Okay, real moody bass. I can work with this. Drum heavy intro. Where does this fit into their timeline?
Everyone's alive, and everyone is dead, and everyone's a fucking liar. Everyone's
So this be the groovy stuff then. Alright.
living in a world of hypocrisy. We suffer pain, we live the lie, but no one says that truth's a lie.
Really is a little more on the low ends.
In our minds we die.
I mean, that helps fills it in a little bit, but the last section was a little empty feeling.
Parasites, paradise, for parasites. Spare the blood, so coldness of the earth. Its own kingdoms, to cover eternity, above the cry. Insects of a dying world, repent your souls, awaken the sun.
Okay, I'm taking that line. I think primarily because of how the accented notes hit. Kind of sounded like old hard drive seeking. death metal this time, but we did actually just get done listening to some folk black metal. Also, welcome to the stream. So I find that to be a really nice balancing point between some of the lighter mellow death, the stuff that kind of has a melodic flair to the riffs more so than strong elements of melody throughout, and an atmospheric kind of death metal. Well, I should just say an atmospheric kind of metal. The death wasn't really a strong component of the atmospheric sections, but I felt that the two of those sides back to back, mixed with those groovy driving sections, really creates a track that has a lot of facets to it and ends up being more than just a metal song. I think it's awesome that they can bring all that together and allow the track to feel like it has an overall molding, a shape, and it moves mostly fluidly through these ideas in a way that feels like a cohesive story, which is something I don't really feel with a lot of traditional death metal. It feels like it's a song, and this feels more like a journey, and I really appreciate that, moving through the different modes that they do. And I think it's interesting. Okay, fourth most recent album. This is definitely something that comes across to me as the product of experimentation and change, knowing a little bit of their history here. And it's certainly something that I think allowed them to arrive at something that is the greater than the sum of the parts. And it's the shared element of their evolution over time to create something like this. I wouldn't say there was any one moment that stood out, but I think that kind of speaks to the writing in general. If I listen to death metal, something like this might be what I go for. Yeah, just a really nice balance of a lot of death metal sides. I'm kind of with Ramono there, though. The vocals are not my cup of tea. I would like something else, but I think they're fine for what they are. They're not abrasive to my ears. Just not my favorite kind of sound. Yeah, YouTube just being YouTube. I think just a bit more complex than most of the recent stuff, but the album, oh, it's the album closer. Yeah, you got to go for the big moment, wrap everything up. And see, I kind of appreciate that too. Kind of saying, this wraps up the album. Let's go a little bit more complex than anything else. Let's tie together a lot of the stuff we write in the album or in general. I can appreciate that. Death metal is a genre that I should like. It's the extreme genre that's I think closest to what I value in music. It's still just a hair bit too abrasive, and the moments here that kind of veer from that or explore the weight in different ways, they speak to me more than most metal does. So I dig that. Like I said, I pulled it off to the side. I might dig into some Cataclysm one day. Next up, we have Wagner Ödegård. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Slökkva. That's probably a terrible pronunciation of that one. This one comes from J Prophet. No context. Once y'all throwing me in the deep end here. I don't know these artists. I can't pronounce their songs. You're not telling me what I'm getting in, what I'm gonna be listening to. Oh man, my hair is a mess today. All right. Let's dive into this one. Oh. Black metal and everything black and in general more experimental than death. I think that's true to a point. I think black metal certainly has more subgenres than most metal. And the blackened sound tends to get pushed in a lot of more directions than death metal does. And certainly you have to include everything blackened because it's a really big umbrella term now. But I think if we look at just black metal, I'd say they're about the same. When we start veering outside of the metal realm, I don't think it's fair to say that that's still black metal. It's blackened for sure. Alright, let's dive into some Wagner, see what's going on. Please tell me this is a hyper-compressed opening. Blackened black metal. Wait for the scream. I like the harmonies. Kind of adapting to the lo-fi. Pascal, welcome. Oh, I get the joke now, Johnny. I think this just further solidifies my idea that surf rock and black metal are not too different from each other. Edwin, welcome. Glad to have you. So I don't think the song here is bad. What's on paper is semi-interesting. There's nice harmonies in the melodies. The drumming is consistently interesting, if nothing else. We have a different pattern every 4 bars. I think there's a larger pattern on the whole, but it feels like it's constantly evolving. I'd even say that the guitar work, while still being dyads and 16th notes, it's not bad. Explores some nice ideas, and on the whole, it is kind of catchy and upbeat. It reminds me more of punk than black metal, and I know that there is a bit of a tie between the two. I don't think it's something I would listen to even outside of the production, but I can appreciate it for what they're going for aside from the production. But if you will allow me a moment to be a bit cynical and a bit tongue-in-cheek, this just sounds terrible. To my ears. I'll put that on there just so I don't get taken out of context. Yeah, I don't think I will ever come around to the lo-fi aesthetic. It just isn't for me, and I even have a tough time appreciating it. Unlike other styles of music that I'm just like, I would never listen to that, but I get why people would. Lo-fi production is just something I don't understand. And I've had some people explain it to me. I read the comments every time we check out a lo-fi black metal band, and I can't wrap my head around it. It's a mystery to me. And I think that's kind of neat. It creates this mystical element about it. It's just something completely outside my grasp. But like I said, I think there's a good song in here somewhere. But the way it's presented is just a packaging that I can't get past. If the previous was through a veil, this one's underwater. Yeah, someone likened it to a black metal garage band, and that's what it sounds like to me. And it's an intentional sound, but it sounds like concessions were made due to time or finances or something like that. And it sounds like there's a better version of this that could exist if more attention had been paid towards it. And of course, that's not the reality of the situation. A lot of bands make this music sounding like this intentionally. But I can't hear it like that. It always sounds imperfect to my ears. I guess they were going for terrible then. Yeah, it's garage band in the front, walk in the backyard in the pool. Oh man. I'm definitely not a true cult black metalhead. To be fair though, I'm not really a metalhead at all, so I guess me being off the mark there isn't off character. Looked up the lyrics and machine translation fails on half the words, so it could be some difficult dialect. That's interesting. Not yet. Oh man, I feel like that's some people's life goal. Before I wrap this channel up, or before I die, I suppose whichever one comes first, I feel like people's goal is to convert me to enjoy black, and not even just like the caveat, like this is blackened adjacent, and I kind of like that. Like, I think some people just want me to enjoy black metal, and if Stockholm Syndrome is the process, then that's how they're going to achieve it. Uh, but no, it's all in good fun. I don't mind. If there is ever a moment when I just completely hate black metal, I might ban it from the channel, but I'm still cool with it. I mean, at the end of the day, I still learn things from it, and black metal, I think, is one of the more harmonically adventurous metal styles. So there's always something interesting from black metal, and it's even good for discussion, just like this whole lo-fi thing right here. Stockholm Syndrome. Syndrome. Oh, the typo. The typo's getting me. Syndrome. Sounds like the place you go to watch the monster trucks. Although I suppose that would be the Sun Dome. Starting to kick in. I'll tell you what, though. I listened to a very I'm not gonna say very brutal because I think everybody has like different tolerances for brutality in audio. It was brutal for me though, and it had sections with blast beats and 16th note picking, very black metal adjacent. I would not call it black metal. And I ended up putting the album on the list of possible AOTY candidates. I might end up listening to it again. It was pretty good. If anyone's curious, it was... I don't remember now. It was either August Burns Red or it was the band right above that. I think August Burns Red was one I listened to. No, it was August Burns Red. Death Below. Yeah, Artspire is really good too. But no, this was this year. I'm trying to get through albums from this year. I've listened to... Geez, I kind of kicked it into overdrive. This week I've listened to 7 albums. Trying to get through this list. I still have 89 to go from this year. I have 10 more on top of that I'm waiting to come out. I want to get through most of this before year end, so I actually have a decent collection of albums to choose my AOTY stuff from. But yeah, that August Burns Red album was good. I don't think I've listened to an August Burns Red album before. I think a drome is for races, so it fit better for months. Oh, interesting. See? I'm glad I'm not the only one who noticed that. There are a lot of bands and song titles today that I'm gonna butcher real bad. Next one coming up, we have the band Gåte. This one comes from Pear, going with a great Norwegian prog folk rock band called Gåte. All letters pronounced with the A with the circle above it, like ah, means riddle or mystery. Very cool. I'm not gonna try that title though. Unlike some of the other ones Unlike some of the other ones I attempt, I don't know what language this is just by looking at it. And I certainly don't have any pronunciation rules for it. There are some languages I don't know what I'm saying, but I kind of picked up on how things get pronounced over time. This ain't one of them. My pick was nice enough to pre-translate the titles. Yes, I appreciate that. Alright, let's get into this one. To include the Google Translate sounds. That's true. Alright, let's hit this one, see what's going on. What is IPA? Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking too. I don't drink beer, but that's Indian Pale Ale as far as I'm concerned. International Phonetic Alphabet. Interesting. Beautiful start to this. That sounds very nice. I think it's a fretless bass. I love that snare idea. So much energy and drive.
värste ikke ut ur sin barm, kastade högt pikkviste, öron i skräck så högt hon ville Herre Per giste. Gud signe deg dandis Herre Per, fyr alle går og inn dine.
That was very cool. I'll have to explain that one later. I love the intensity of the guitars on the outside here. It's very compressed and chaotic, then it explodes. It's over now, isn't it? That felt like about 5 minutes. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Yeah, okay, so like the song was already like a 7. I was really excited. I already pulled it off to the side. That ending just solidified the fact that I need to listen to more. Just what a great way to end it. So there's this one moment that I told you I'll explain later. So there's this thing with mouths, and there's like saliva in them, and when you move your lips and your tongues, there's little clicks and pops that the saliva makes. You don't really hear too much of it in music, period. And certainly you don't hear a lot of it in here. But there is one moment where it was, I don't want to say showcased, but present right after we got out of the big bombastic section with the vocalizations and the guitar solo, and we brought it all down real low, right on the end of the bridge. And we had this sing-songy kind of spoken word, very quiet, hushed vocals. And there were some clicks and pops going on that sounded like mouth sounds to me that worked as a percussive element against what was going on. It was like 4 bars of this extra percussion sound. All of it unintentional. It sounds, but it worked very well. And I really loved that. I think some engineers would opt to remove it. Maybe most engineers would opt to remove it, but I really liked it in its inclusion. I just thought it sounded really good in that moment. Kind of a weird detail, but it's just something you don't hear too often. I just thought it was very cool to have that in there. Just a beautiful track all over, though. The more positively emotive atmospheres were just gorgeous, the way that they layered up, the way everything comes together. I love the intensity, the drive, the chaos and darkness that we hear. The chorus is just, lost my balance. The chorus is just wonderful. Absolutely love it. The shifting back and forth between the build-up and then the release, and the build-up and the release, and the way that the drums do this. I think it's interesting too. The first time we hit the chorus, the drums had a syncopated rhythm. They still had the constant snare. I think it was 16th notes, 8th notes? Yeah, 8th notes. But when they shifted off of it, we were getting syncopated hits on the other parts of the drums that they were playing. But the second and third time around, it was consistent. The accented hits off of the snare were in the same pattern, that same 8th note idea. So I thought that was a really interesting choice. I definitely preferred the syncopated side we heard first. But the way that build-up, the intensity, the rising volume mixed with the chaos in the guitars off to the side, it's so much tension being built up, and then the massive explosion. We hit the peak of volume, we bring in some resolution to some of the harmonic ideas, the drums open up, they get off of the snare roll. It is just a gorgeous moment, and to have this back and forth, the slingshot effect on it, it works so well. The bridge was a nice moment. I love the guitar and vocal line, but also just the idea of the explosion taken to the next level. We have the compression and the tension into the release, into what if that release wasn't enough, let's take it up to the next level. And then going from the peak of the song to the quietest moment was a nice idea. And the ending, I mean, I already talked about that. It's just a really great way to elevate this track from great to amazing. Yeah, I got multiple build up and payoffs. Yep, 100%. Loads of great and exciting songs. They're in my list. They're in Inky's list too. This is that was a nice surprise. I mean, Whalebones was a good surprise. This is actually a good stream. I don't think I pulled anything off from last stream. Doesn't look like it. I already got 3 though. We only have 4 more to, well, I guess it is. Dang, we've already been going for 75 minutes. It has not felt like that. Alright, so we have some Catafalque. I always forget how to pronounce that. And after this, I'll go look it up, and I'll forget next time. It's the cycle of the pronunciation. This one comes from Matt. Been getting really into Hungarian metal band lately. It's technically a one-man band, but there's 2 or more guest musicians on every record. It started off as a raw black metal band with some ambient interludes, but quickly got more experimental, becoming proggier and incorporating more Hungarian folk music, with the black metal taking more of a back seat. This is one of my favorites off the newest record. I aim to please. I mean, yeah, like I said, the aim's off sometimes, but I mean, your recommendations, they tend to resonate well with me. I know you have some heavier tastes as well, but I think your more neutral and softer tastes tend to line up with mine pretty well. Alright, I can't pronounce this title. I don't even know if I got the band name properly pronounced. Let's dive into it. Let's see what's going on with this one.
Csillagot, görgető, jöjj elő.
Csillagot, görgető. Is that what he said?
Hát jöjj elő. Csillagot, görgető.
I'm really appreciative of bands who do that.
Jöjj elő, hát jöjj elő.
Yeah, I mean, unless they go in a very different direction, this is as far from black metal I think you could get. Okay. Is that a new album from Alphaloid? I don't remember seeing them in my new releases, in the new releases. Is this black and roll? Alright, I'll have to add that. I still have that open. Is that the album? I can appreciate the diversity of sound. They're doing a lot of stuff. But I don't know if the song's quite clicked with me yet. Really interesting note right there, third to the end on that line, introduces a lot of imbalance. Yeah, just the old wall behind me. Yeah, so, oh, it's not over. Also, welcome to the stream, Carol. I think I pronounced that properly. Yeah, like I said, I appreciate the variety on display here. There's some bluesier rock and roll ideas. There's the black metal. There's the blackened production on a lot of it. There's the folk chanting. We had the heavy metal riffage going on just before that. We had flutes bringing in more of the folk stuff. It was really nice to kind of hear all of this come together in a single project, and I think it comes together in a decent way. I'm not going to say it all feels completely cohesive, but more so than all the disparate parts would suggest. All right, Mono, have a good rest of your day. And I think the atmospheres here are really great. Each of the sections feels unique sonically, but connective as far as the atmosphere and harmonic elements go. It is a song that explores a lot of differing riffs, but utilizing a similar language throughout. And through that, I find it fascinating, again, just for the sheer width of ideas here, but I don't feel like it ever reached the point where it all clicked for me, when it made sense. And maybe that's something that comes up with subsequent listens, but it feels like it's definitely something that is where the sum is larger than the parts, but that I didn't quite understand the sum either, and the parts don't do very well to stand alone. So that's where I'm at on this one. Like I said, I think it's going to require more listens to really get, but I can appreciate the experimental side of it, and it is a bit more cohesive than I would expect. Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Dabda's. There we go. Dabda's Cloud City. This one comes at us from Johnny Truant. There is no context once again. Y'all keep throwing me into the deep end on this one. Although I do like the romanization, I can read what these titles are. Helps quite a bit. I only have 3 left. Well, we do have 30 minutes. It feels like we're just burning through this, but in actuality, like the time is moving too. It feels like we just started not that long ago. I don't know. It's an interesting stream. I've lost track of time somehow. I intend to go back and add context, but then I didn't. Oh, man. That sounds like something I would do. I meant to do it. Just, I didn't. All right. Let's hit this, see what's going on. Yeah, for sure. I don't think there's been a single track today that I've just been like, nope. Everything's had something for me to engage with on some level. And they've all been a bit on the longer side too, so I think that's a really good sign too. All right, let's dive into this one. Ooh, okay. Beautiful bass tone. I don't know what the time signature is, but I think we're working with 14.5 beats. I think our phrase is 7/4/7/4/7/4/6/4. It's not a half, it's just a whole beat removed. Beautiful though, I mean, technicality aside, it's really great atmosphere and writing. Love the drumming. Really great flow throughout these odd time signatures. Love the flow of the vocals. It takes its time coming down and aggressively gets back up. It almost gives it like a swung feel. It just works really well. All the vocalizations over here. So that was in 6 entirely. Really playful though. I love the way the two guitars worked out for each other. Yeah, it's definitely that side of math rock. A halftime variation on this chorus. A halftime variation with 16th note drum rolls. Ball too. Dense post-rock stuff going on over here. I mean, it's just a solid math rock track right there. Not getting too noodly, but making sure there's some sort of mathy complexity in all aspects of it. Whether it's syncopation between multiple harmonic elements, multiple foundational elements, rhythmic syncopation in melodies, time signature changes all over the place, weird time signatures even within a place. Just it's really chaotic if you take a moment to dig into what's happening. But the moment that you just kind of let your mind free and let the music wash over you, it's, as I think Pear said, yeah, very comfy. It doesn't overdo it in a way where it is the main aspect. It utilizes the more noodly and mathematically complex compositional style to create these soundscapes that I think is really interesting, because it gives it a casual element while also giving it something worthwhile to dig into if you wanted to do a little bit of active listening. And it is very rewarding to active listen to. There's so many little tidbits everywhere to check out. I mean, even at the end there, we hit our final chorus, and they could have just stuck with the chorus, copy paste, run it to the end, call it a day. And instead, they wrote a completely new drum section, and afterwards, they put in some brand new post-rock style guitar work on the outsides to wrap it all up, never wanting to rest on their laurels. There's always something going on that's worth listening to, and I think that's interesting. Or I should say, it keeps it interesting. And I can certainly appreciate that about a band. Never happy with just doing the bass work, always wanting to put the little bit of extra work into it. And I feel like that's what this band is. At least that's what this song tells me this band is. Beautiful rhythms. Well, I should say beautiful atmospheres. Funky rhythms. Just a great song overall. A little bit of everything in there. They do get a bit post-rock in their endings on the last songs on the EP. To my ear seems to go with the pace of the whole thing. Hope Most Bad. Oh, bands are doing the bass work. Yeah. There's the door, David. All right. We only got two more ahead of us. This one is fractanisharmonicoo. Fractanisharmonicoo. I guess that's how you pronounce that. I don't know what the title is. And, well, I think I got the artist right, so that's something. This one comes from Inky. The translation of the title is Wish of the Bamboo Cutter, Dream Eternity. That's so many words for so few symbols. Let's see. Timestamp the link from 3912 to the end. That's what I got. It's a Toho cover from the Falls from Grace of the mythical lunar princess Kaguya as she corrupts herself into immortality. Gazy free jazz that ends on an interesting idea I would love to find more of. Alright, gazy free jazz. Alright. Huh. Been a bit obsessed with this album, but I feel like this might break the stream. Well, let's put a test to that. See what's going on with this. Fractanisharmonicoo. I love that band name. It's just fun to say. No, that's true. One symbol equals one word. This is a cover, correct? Makes me wonder what the original was like. Improv by multiple performers? I mean, that's what free jazz is, so. Yeah, this is a Toho cover. Gotcha. All right. Okay. I'm really curious what the original sounds like. Dude, that bass kick is so sub. It's more of a feeling than a sound. There are some really neat ideas here, though, that are sort of paralleling glitchy electronic stuff, but done acoustically, which I think's neat. I don't want to start giving out a seal of approval. People might start chasing it. I feel like that might subvert the intentions of the channel a bit. Wait. So that was glitchy electronic stuff. That was not hand done, was it? How much of this is acoustic instruments? Okay. I was like, wait, I thought all of this was like straight up acoustic jazz going on. Maybe an electric bass. thematically, I can get behind this. The idea of, what was the word you used? Corrupting oneself. I can get behind that idea. I think the music captures that feeling very well, especially as we introduced more and more glitch towards the end and the corruption was beginning to be complete. The album's an exception, though most of their work is one acoustic album, followed by a live version that uses effect pedals to glitch it up. Alright, you're too wise. Don't say that. I don't feel like I'm super wise. I got a keen observation, that's about it. Start talking me up, I might start believing it. Walking through, can't even get through rooms with my head so big. So yeah, like on an artistic level, I can dig it, but I mean, as usual, when it comes to free jazz, to me it usually feels like a concept of throwing everything at the wall. Sometimes you will just come across some of the best moments that come about organically, something you might not have even ever written, and the moment just becomes this by the use of, everybody just kind of simultaneously composing live. But for the most part, those moments are going to be surrounded by noise. I mean, that's not the most neutral word out there, but... And that's what I felt a lot of this ended up being, so... It's sort of my... I've talked about this. My issue with jam bands, free jazz, even avant-garde music that does stuff like this pre-composed style. And I have such a tough time wrapping my head around it. But some of that I also got to put on myself. I'm not going to say that the segments I didn't quite enjoy were bad or just noise, because it also could be that I just didn't understand them. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I appreciate it on the artistic front, though. But definitely not my cup of tea. But I'm so curious about the original now. And I think that free jazz was a perfect way to go about doing this idea of corruption. That's very cool. To wrap this up, we have Lonesome Shack's Diamond Man. This one comes at us from Oogsg? Formerly Oog. Kind of a modern take on Hill Country Mississippi Delta blues, which sounds like a blast. What we got here? All right, let's dive into it. See what Lonesome Shack is bringing to the table. Very gritty, grungy guitar sounds.
Don't worry about death or getting paper. What is life without a savior? Don't worry about me. Eventually, I'll be pure. I'll be pure. I'll be pure, Diamond Man. There's a light traveling ages over the heads
Hey, Captain Hindsight, welcome.
Eventually, I'll be pure. I'll be pure. I'll be pure diamond man.
I'm curious when this came out. Oh, so this is newer. I was curious if the vocals were just lost to time, to sound that way for old equipment, but no, this came out in the last 10 years, give or take.
My new boy is a fighter, always pushing me up high.
Hey, Captain Hindsight, thanks for the compliment. I do my best.
Eventually, I'll be pure. I'll be pure. I'll be pure diamond man. When love is clear, the edge is strong for cutting out useless thought. You will see into me eventually.
I mean, this track's great at what it does. Personally, I'd like a little bit more variety, but I mean, as far as hitting this vibe,
I'll be pure
it's a really great bluesy track. Kind of felt like we were going somewhere. Interesting way to wrap that up then. All right. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. Like I said, for what it is, the guitar has a ton of bite. The vocals, I mean, the production on it just reminds me of older vocals from the times that bluesy rock and roll was a real big thing. It certainly nails the vibe and feel of what it's going for, and it kind of takes that folky angle of make a verse, make a small variation on it for a chorus, and then just go back and forth until the song's over. The very simple foundation, and maybe, you know, knowing the lyrics, or if I'd listened more closely to them, would have made the song a bit more cohesive, a little bit more engaging. But yeah, I could have done with just a little bit of, even a bridge, I think, would have helped a lot instead of going straight into a third verse. Like I said, it's a very folky thing to do, though. Very bluesy thing, also. It's kind of jump back and forth between verse chorus until you're done. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything negative real to say about it. It sets a task out, and I think it absolutely nails it what it does, especially being a newer band. They formed in 2010, I think is what I just read. This possibly came out only 7 years ago. Well, no, 2016. Yeah, I guess that is 7 years ago. Jeez, that time is so weird. But yeah, so, you know, a newer band recreating the sounds of an older one, bringing back retro blues. I can dig it. That's going to wrap up today. Some really interesting stuff. Yes, Damien, what's up? Yeah, I mean, the 90s were only a decade ago, of course. So we're definitely not trying to forget that. I am certainly not real close to 36. That just seems ridiculous. Oh man, 8 minutes of rambling left. I could probably fill some time if I wanted to. Interestingly, I don't necessarily need to bring this up, but while I have time, the comments for the Pink Floyd have been sort of positive. There's been a couple of people who are like, you don't get it. Here's some stuff that, going to add some more context. And yeah, I'm really appreciative of that. My view of the last two tracks has changed quite a bit since I recorded that. There's been a lot of comments that are like, no, dude, you're absolutely right. This is a good album, but not as good as everything that came after it. This is not Pink Floyd at their best. And I'm like, huh. And now I'm kind of thinking, is this one of those things where a band gets popular and the purists are like their popular album was good, but it wasn't great. And that's like sort of contrarian of being a fan. I might be see, I wonder if that too. I mean, most of the album stuff gets blocked, so I think it's mostly the fans of the channel that end up watching those, and even more specifically, maybe the fans of the bands. Like, it's got to be a crossover. Do you really like this band? And do you really like listening to me? And that small subsection are the ones who are going to go to Odyssey. But I'm not really a true fan of anything, am I? Every time it comes up, like I'm not true anything. My allegiances sway so fast. But yeah, I've been seeing a lot of comments that are just kind of in agreement, and I just was not expecting that. I was ready for the flame. Well, I don't want to spoil too much, but I will say that 90% of the video is praise. I do think it's earned its spot in history, but it is not perfect, and the ways that it isn't perfect upset me. Less so today than when I recorded it, but they're still very upsetting. I think this could have been a perfect album, and it isn't. That's actually a really good analogy there with the self-titled Metallica. Although I wonder how the Black Album sold. Because, like, the thing with Dark Side of the Moon is not only did it sell well, not only was it popular, but it was highly praised. Maybe not within the fan base, but in the music world in general. It is held up as like one of those albums you must listen to. And I don't like the Black Album kind of has that. If you listen to metal, that's usually one of the first albums tossed your way, or if you're trying to get into metal, but I don't really feel it has the same reverence. It's not put on high of a pedestal. Oh, that's interesting. That's good. 30 million, that's respectable. What are my favorite bands and genres? Has any suggestion changed your mind about genres? Um, Post-hardcore, as long as we're talking about rock and metal, is probably going to be my favorite. Alt rock and alt metal tend to be pretty good for me as well. Favorite band, I mean, favorite band's going to be The Used. I don't think that's ever going to change. I haven't liked their newer output, but no matter what mood I'm in, you give me their first four albums, and it's going to work for me. Any suggestions changed my mind about genres? I don't know. Well, yeah, Ashenspire changed my mind on black metal. I think that really opened it up. There's been a lot of other bands in the black metal adjacent sphere that have kind of given me a new appreciation for the style, but none of it's going to be like pure black metal. That's still a style I'm still kind of the same mindset on. We should do a Q&A stream. Especially since we passed 30K recently, which I think is a pretty big number. Where are we at today? 31.5. And by the time I get to the Q&A stream, if I do one, we'll probably be at 32, because that's only about a month away. Yeah, Ashen Spire's just, they use the language of black metal, but they don't make black metal music. And I think that's what I like about it. Hey, thanks for the happy birth, not happy birthday. Golly. Y'all have me think about how old I am. Now I can think about my birthday around the corner. The celebration emoji. But yeah, they don't. It's definitely black metal. That's what I would put them under as a genre, but it's not. It's not black metal. Yeah, tons of new music. I mean, like I knew about heavier metals, but aside from just kind of hearing something stereotypical and being like, "That's not my jam. I don't want it. Get that away from me." I never explored any of it. And I think this journey's been really interesting in that some of what I felt earlier is still quite true. Most extreme metals is just not my jam, but I have become more open to sounds I know I would not have listened to 10, 15, or 20 years ago. I mean, to be fair, Steezy, I think most people are increasing. Oh wait, showing me increasingly insane metal. Okay, that's different. I was gonna say the amount of metal on the channel continues to increase, but yeah, you're the one showing me a lot of stuff that's just way on the extremes. All right, we're gonna wrap this one up. You guys, thanks everyone for coming out, spending your Sunday with me, chilling, listening to some music. I gotta go check out some of this stuff. I don't know if I have time. Like, there's so much stuff I need to check. Actually, I don't. I have something special I need to listen to today and provide some feedback on before it gets released. That's pretty cool. Don't tell anybody. I guess you can tell. I guess it's just a perk of being in the industry. Is that where I'm at? I don't know. I get industry newsletters. I never really kind of clicked with me that way. But yeah, I'm going to provide some feedback on some stuff I got to listen to today. So I don't know if I'm going to get to anything else. But I do have some stuff that I need to get to this week. All right, y'all have a good rest of your week. If you're interested, check out that Pink Floyd video. It's doing well with the Pink Floyd always does well though. Doing well in numbers. And get ready for next week. I think we're doing experimental music, right? So, I mean, that's going to be fun. All right, I'll catch y'all later.